Hi, and thank you for joining me. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, this is going to be a self-care, self-love reading. Sunday self-care, self-love reading. We are holistic beings, and our wellness and well-being doesn't just depend on our physical health, but also our mental, emotional, and spiritual health, which is our energy. We are made up of energy. Everything is made up of energy. And often we can think of spirituality as a religion, but if you dive deeper into spirituality, it is the basic understanding of how everything in the universe works. And it can be described through religion, stories, through science, nature. Everything is interconnected, the same as our mind, body, and soul. So it's a good idea to have a look at everything, because one thing affects the other, and it's not always easy in modern times to take care of ourselves holistically, because there are so many external things that pull us away from ourselves and distract us from being able to read the cues that our bodies give us, being able to tap into our higher selves and our intuition, being able to notice the signs and synchronicity that nature and the universe gives us to help us along. We can feel very disconnected, even alone and isolated in this world, even though we are around people. And truly, we are not alone. Energetically, the whole universe is connected to us, and we to it. And we get signs if we are able to notice it. And when we do notice it, we need to be able to decipher it and have the courage and the discipline and just the love for ourselves, each other, and the world and the universe to be able to act on that guidance. So tarot is just a tool to help us to connect in a different way and receive messages, but we can receive messages in so many different ways. I want to grab a crystal for an energy for this reading, so I'm just gonna see what I'm randomly drawn to. Okay, this I think is a red jasper. I have a few similar ones. Let's have a look. So red might be significant. Red and orange, because this is not exactly red and orange. So red jasper is connected to the root chakra, the base chakra, which is the red chakra. And it has quite a few properties. It activates passion and vitality. It's also protective, and the base chakra also grounds and roots us in this reality, but also to the earth, and grounds our energy. And this will also be related to sexual health and the lower part of our body, as it is the very lowest chakra of the 7. So let's see what that has to do with. Our lower chakras, if we think about building anything, there needs to be a stable base, right? So if there isn't a stable base, then everything else that's built on top of it is going to be unstable, right? So there's something about stability and being grounded. And let's see what else comes through. Please make the messages clear Let's see if this reading is going to take us down something physical, something emotional, something energetic, something mental, maybe a little bit of all of it. We have the King of Cups and the Queen of Wands in reverse. Okay, let's just step into this energy a bit and see. So, the King of Cups is a masculine energy, but masculine doesn't have to be male or female. Masculine is an outward expression. I'd like to think of it in a way to understand it as our human selves, or the part of us that takes action, that does things. And the feminine aspect is the receptive part of us, our higher chakras, so like intuition, discernment, being connected to energy, spirituality, to God, to the universe. So for the masculine aspect to take action, it needs instruction from the higher aspect or the spiritual aspect of us. And often in this world we operate from our ego and our conditioned mind, and not clearly from higher consciousness or higher awareness, or that highest part of ourselves that is untainted by difficult life experiences and negativity in the world, right? So there's something about masculine and feminine energy clearly coming through, since we have a king and a queen here. And the King of Cups is about emotions with all this water, and the Queen of Wands is fire energy, which is spirit. You know, it's an energy of excitement, passion, drive, even attraction. Okay, so this is what's coming through. So I thought this was going to be something physical, but what I'm getting is, do you feel attractive? And I think for most of us, we can feel attractive at times, like say when you dress up, or you get your hair done, or your hair cut, or someone compliments you. But that can also be a trigger for some people, being complimented. Some people can feel uncomfortable with being complimented or receiving compliments. Do you feel attractive? When do you feel attractive, and how often do you feel attractive? As in physically attractive. Do you see yourself as beautiful? And sometimes we can know something from our minds and not feel it emotionally and energetically. So you look at yourself and yes, I'm pretty, or yes, I'm handsome, yes, I'm attractive, but you don't really feel it. Or sometimes there are subconscious beliefs about our appearance, or even just our energy, how attractive your energy is, that we don't realize is there. Like, you might tell yourself, yes, I am attractive, or I have a vibrant energy, a radiant energy, but then there's a subconscious belief there, because somewhere you were taunted and teased when you were little about your hair or about your weight, and you have become comfortable with how you look, but there's a subconscious belief that I'm not pretty because I'm overweight, or I'm not pretty because of my skin color or my hair. I'm just drawn to her hair here and her olive skin, brown skin. I feel like you might be mixed race, or person of color. So there's something about how we feel about ourselves and how attractive we feel, but physically, but also energetically. Do you feel... The Queen of Wands always has sunflowers, and it always gives me such a happy feeling. Sunflowers always look towards the sun. Do you have a positive outlook about yourself, a positive feeling and energy about yourself. Do you feel attractive? And there's also an aspect of do you feel that people find you attractive? And that doesn't have to be only romantic interest. Do people like to be around you? Do people think you're an amazing person? And not just because of one reason, just because of the way you look, or just because of what you do, but just your energy. And with the King of Cups, it's like, how much love do you show yourself and others? Because the King is a masculine energy, it's an outward expression. So how much love do you show others? How balanced are you with how you show love and how much you show love? Like, he's sitting on a chair here and he's only got his toe dipped in the water, and my bird is starting. He seems to get more excited than me with these readings. He's only got his foot dipped in the water there, and then he's got a singing bowl. So it's like he has a very good understanding and a grasp and self-control over his emotions. And he knows how to tap into that, his emotions. He knows how to understand, and not just his. If you can understand yourself, you can understand others better, right? So there's a good grasp of emotional intelligence and maturity here. He looks, the colors on this card is weird. Not weird, but different. So, but this gives me the sense of an older person or a more mature person. Emotional maturity. I feel like there's a link between emotional intelligence and maturity and how we show up in the world and how we feel about ourselves. The green here on his shirt is standing out. That's heart chakra energy. Having a love for yourself and having a love for others. And then there's something about sound and frequency. When I do these readings, there's often so many things that come through at one time. I feel like I don't always get to say on camera everything that comes through, and after the readings there's always so much more that I sense during the reading that I didn't always say, but I feel like this is again how the universe works. Something small that you see on the cards or that you hear can activate something else, like it takes you to another thought or just makes you feel a certain way, and that is what you needed to get from the reading. And sometimes we don't have to take in every single word from a reading, and sometimes some things come to us later. That's just how it is. If we took in too many things all at once, or more than we have the capacity for at any given time, it is overwhelming, and we don't need to operate in that way. More isn't better, or not always better. Quality is always better than quantity, right? But there are certain aspects of this world that we don't necessarily feel that way about, or we are, conditioned to see more as better. Okay, so there's something about showing love and energetically, physically being attractive, radiant, vibrant. Finding the balance between how much love you show and being so radiant and beautiful and confident and secure and inspired, that you are okay with receiving and able to receive and attract good things to you. Okay, let's see what the messages we have in the book. This is the Neo Tarot, and it is a self-care, self-love deck. I'll actually show it. I don't always show it. In case somebody is interested in the deck, it has really amazing self-care messages that I really enjoy, and affirmations and that type of thing. So let's see what the King of Cups is. The King of Cups can be a water sign, doesn't have to be. We have a sun sign and a moon sign and a rising and a whole lot of aspects to our chart. So our sun sign isn't the only aspect of us. What else about the King of Cups? Let's see. The themes is perceptive, diplomatic, deeply caring, and generous. How generous are you? Are you so generous to the point where you're self-sacrificing, people-pleasing, lacking boundaries? Because the King of Cups upright is somebody that is emotionally mature and intelligent, so has a good balance, doesn't overgive or give for the wrong love for the wrong reasons, because his heart chakra is activated and he's very connected to himself. There's an emotional intelligence, and I think we undervalue emotional intelligence over IQ, whereas the heart has wisdom. Okay, let's see what else there is. The King of Cups, the affirmation here says, I inspire others with my open heart and altruism. Ooh, I like the way that is stated. I inspire others. A lot of the time we can feel like being a loving person, a kind person, a good person means that we have to physically do to show love. Then there should be a balance. Like it's about finding discernment about when to do and how to show love and how much at any given time in any given situation or dynamic. The King of Cups is a personal energy of emotional intelligence tempered by the will to act and achieve out in the world. So his driving force, his motivation is love. And love in the sense that what's good and best, but not assuming that he knows what's good and best for everyone else. But his motivation isn't self-benefit or materialism or ego. It is, love is truth, right? It comes from the heart. It's sincere, it's honest. Often this card says that our social lives are vibrant, but still waters run deep. And we might feel isolated from the people around us because of our capacity to care and our rich imagination. Still, you have the ability to lead others with compassion and clear-headedness while knowing your boundaries. I think a lot in the world, as a man, and even when we are required to be in our masculine energy, we are required to put our feelings aside, our emotions aside, and just be logical and practical. Because it's almost like there's this perception, this idea that love gets you hurt, or being too loving is weak, being in your feels is weak. But that happens when we have empathy without discernment, which is what came through in a reading yesterday, if you want to check out the previous reading. And I had read a comment on some post that said empathy without discernment is enabling. And that's how we get hurt, because we don't have discernment. So you want to have a heart-mind connection where you trust your emotions because you know what's true for you in any given moment, because stuff can be subjective and change, and there can be a lot below the surface. Still waters run deep, right? With all of us, a lot below the surface that can't be seen. But with the eyes necessarily or understood with the mind, but that the heart will know. You'll just feel something, and you need to be able to understand what those feelings and emotions mean, so that you can act appropriately or accordingly in any given moment. Apply those gifts and your life will shift for the better. Can represent Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Water signs are extremely intuitive, can possibly be psychic, because they can read energy. Emotions is energy in motion. So they are so connected to energy and emotions that they can read it really well. So they can often see things that aren't said, or feel things, that sense things that aren't said. And this is an advantage. This is a skill, but it can also be really difficult, feeling so deeply. And that's where self-care and self-love comes in. You're no good to anyone when you are hurting or when you are not okay. Many of us have the hearts of poets, but we forget this. Our goals and life gets in the way. I think we are all creative in some way, and I see this especially nowadays on TikTok. I'm always amazed at how personalities come through, and how creative people get with everyday things and just anything really. We are all creative beings, but sometimes we get so caught up in the minutiae and the obligations and responsibility of life that we lose that creative drive, which stems from our sacral and our root chakra, right? It's fire energy. The fire energy is that spirit energy, that drive, that motivation, creativity. Creativity is linked to sexuality, which is an energy and not necessarily related to the physical act, but it is related to the physical act, but not solely and exclusively the physical act. It's that feeling of passion and desire, and it doesn't have to be, I think we focus it too much on a person, a relationship, and a physical act, and not the balance between radiating and receiving an energy that makes you feel the physical push to act and do. And it can become distorted when it's not connected to our hearts and our emotions, when it's a purely lower vibrational desire and passion, without the wisdom of the heart and the sincerity and the honesty of the heart. So we are all meant to be creative in some way. We create every time we open our mouths, every time we do something, and we need to be cognizant and mindful of what it is that we're creating and where that is coming from. What is the intention? Often we don't do things intentionally because it takes a lot of effort to consciously think and be mindful about every single thing that you do. How creative are you? Do you feel passionate and energetic and excited about life and about the things that you do and about yourself? We'll get into the Queen of Wands after this. Drop any fears, self-judgments, or a lack of conviction and do this. Write some poetry. And I can vouch for poetry. I've been writing poetry for the last 6 years, and it's been one of the most transformational things that has ever happened to me. I've always been a writer since I was a little girl, but poetry I only found once I got to a certain level of emotional maturity and felt a lot of contrasting emotions, not just the good things, but really painful and difficult things. It doesn't have to rhyme. There doesn't have to be stanzas and rules. Just write whatever comes to you by tapping into your inner creative emotional resources. See if you can theme your poetry around the topic of self-love. Notice what this brings. Okay, I'm gonna shamelessly self-plug myself here right now, which I always shy away from promoting or sharing what I do. I always try and let nature take its course, and those that find my work and are guided to what I do to find it, but I'm going to shamelessly self-plug. I have written 3 poetry books, and honestly, before I started writing poetry, we did poetry at school, right? And I've always been an avid reader and loved books and words, but I felt all the rules and, how poetry was taught at school it just disconnected me from it. I just didn't get into it. And also the material that we read, it just, I don't know, it wasn't very relatable, or not at that time, at that level of maturity or intelligence. But poetry can be fun, and it's, there's many varying different styles. And it's wise, but it's emotional. There's wisdom and emotionality as well. It makes you feel, which reminds me of the Jimmy Nevis song, Feel Something. We all just want to feel, even if we negate it and fight against feeling. We all just want to feel. So let me self-plug myself. This is my 3 poetry collections that I have published over the last, I think, 4 years. If you are interested, please check the description box below. There will be links there, and also my Instagram pages where I write and post not just poetry, but things around life and existentialism and quantum physics and love mostly. And that has to do with relationships, ourselves, and self-love in particular. That's what I write about more than anything else. So yeah, that's just me shamelessly self-plugging myself for a change. Self-love is the basis of how we love others, right? So that, I feel, that's just such an amazing self-care tip for today. And even for me, as someone that writes often, and even the most seasoned writer will tell you, often when we think about what am I going to write, you can not find the inspiration or the words, right? And often for me, I will just channel, like I'll be doing something random and I'll feel the need to grab my phone or a pen and just write, and the words will just flow out of me without me, the words are not in my mind. It comes from some higher place or from my heart space, and it just translates into something. I can obviously write from my mind, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't produce the same results and the same energy. So don't overthink it and think too much, and just write. Next, let's see what the Queen of Wands says. So this is a masculine thing to do, believe it or not. It's an action that you can take to connect with your emotions better. You'd be surprised that there might be some underlying emotion that you haven't tapped into, and once you start writing, it'll come out. Some way you felt about something, and that is a good way of releasing it, so that emotions don't become stagnant within our bodies and cause dis-ease, dysregulates our nervous system, or comes out in a distorted way or a toxic way and then spills over or bleeds onto someone or something else, and affects you or someone else or something else negatively. The Queen of Wands, the theme here is, this is a fire energy. So this is water and fire. Water and fire. Water heated up will give you steam. So I feel like if you have a good balance between your water, which is your emotions, and your fire, which is your spirit, energy, there's something magical that happens there. But this is in reverse, right? So you might need to spend a little bit more time connecting with your emotions so that you can feel energetically more attractive and be energetically more attractive, which translates into looking. When you feel good, you look good, right? So that translates into looking better, and seeing yourself in a better light, and then others will see you in a better light, even if you've done nothing to affect your physical appearance. That's how energy works, right? Like, you look prettier when you have a smile on your face, and a real smile, and not a what is the word I'm looking for? A fake smile, basically. So the Queen of Wands is charismatic, passionate, generous, and fierce. And the affirmation is, my confident, independent spirit leads me to everything I dream of. So this is, are you able to feel pleasure and really enjoy it? And if you think about it, a lot of us struggle with this in different ways. Like, you might associate pleasure with something physical, when it can be something energetic and emotional as well. Okay, let's see. In reverse, like any Wands card, impatience, anger, and total stubbornness are your potential downfall when this card is in reverse. But even that beats giving away your power by yielding to the will of other people. You were not meant to play small. As long as you're acting virtuously and harming no one, you have every right to do whatever you want. Know that and love it. So the Queen of Wands is like, she is so passionate about herself that she doesn't need the validation. She is so inspired that she's going to launch that project without having the support of others. But she'll get it anyway. So where have you been playing small? Do you not see yourself as... And somehow my camera cut off. Where have you been playing small? Is that in your relationships where you don't speak up for yourself, or you don't you diminish some parts of yourself and who you are in your relationships? Is that in work where you there's no creativity in your work, there's no passion in your work, and it's just work for the sake of work? Is it your personal self-care? There's an aspect of creativity here that will light you up and make you feel like the sun, and affect others in the same way. The self-care message is, the Queen is the most amorous of the court cards. And feeling sensual and being connected to your sexual energy doesn't have to mean that in a distorted way, where you use that for bad or harm or gain that is unreciprocal and unhealthy. Like, you can feel sexy without wanting or engaging in activity. And I'm trying to be PG with how I say it. And that energy can be grounded, whereas when that energy is needy or seeking, it can become distorted, or there's too much of that energy and it's not connected again to the heart space, or to your higher awareness. It can be distorted, and then yield negative results. This Queen is the most amorous of the court cards. Allow yourself to experience the sensual side of the spiritual connection between the divine and yourself by exploring your sexuality solo. And I think we all know what that means. How often I feel like in life, depending on the context of where you live and your life and who you are, it can be a very taboo subject. Like, it's not something that we easily speak about, or even like we don't even consider it. What do I like? What do I not like? do I have negative ideas about physical intimacy and sexuality? Like, and with women especially, like we are almost shamed and guilted about being sexual beings when we are seen as that by the external world, and sometimes objectified, often objectified. And our role in that, the idea of what our role is in sexuality can be that of, it can be one-sided and imbalanced, right? So what are your ideas around your sensuality? And maybe it's time to explore it, whether that's just thinking about it, writing about it, speaking about it, or exploring it physically by yourself. I mean, if you can't be comfortable with yourself in that sense, then, maybe you're not as comfortable as you think with someone else, right? I do not want to read this out loud, or I'll change the wording. Make a thoughtful ritual out of self-pleasure. And the word that's used is different there. Seduce yourself and let it be an expression of your power and complete agency. And I want to say love as well. Self-care and self-love. Like, it is, physical intimacy is a human need, right? But it shouldn't be a need in the sense that we compromise or sacrifice ourselves to get it, or to give it, right? So if you love yourself, you'll know when, with who, in which ways is the healthiest and best way for you to give and receive physical intimacy. And I feel like it always needs to be connected to love. Seduce yourself and let it be an expression of your power and complete agency in your own life and out in the world. Like, do you feel sensual when you walk? Are you connected to your body in that way that you can feel how you move? And as a feminine or a woman, there's a very sensual way that we move. But even as a man, I feel like men are a lot more connected to their heart chakras and even their consciousness and spirit, basically their feminine side, and not in the typical feminine way as in girly, but that receptive energy, that electric fire energy within them. Men are more aware of that now as well. Like, how do you speak? Do you see yourself as a sexual being, and does that feel wrong or bad, and why? I want to read the affirmation again. My confident, independent spirit leads me to everything I dream of. When these energies are grounded, they're more in alignment and less distorted, right? Let's see what's at the bottom of the deck before I close this off. We have the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like the more connected we become to all our chakras, our higher self, our heart, our root, our bodies, our minds, our souls, the more effortless it becomes to be creative. Like the Eight of Pentacles can be about putting in the work and being diligent and mastering a craft, but it's something you love to do, but probably do for work, or something tangible that you do that you love. But this in reverse, and I don't feel it in a negative way. I feel like it becomes more effortless. There's not so much, it doesn't feel like work, and it doesn't feel exhausting or draining. And in that way, we can do better for ourselves in the world, and able to receive and attract to us in a healthy way. And this is what magic and spirituality and manifestation is kind of about, right? There's many ways to explain it and understand it, but everything in life is about balance. Balancing the spiritual with the practical, balancing emotions with logic and action, being receptive and being able to give, and being able to create not only from our masculine energy by how much you do and the physical things, but also from a spiritual place, a place of love, and an energetic place. I think that's the reading. I wonder if there's anything else that comes through. So go write some poetry, or better yet, read some poetry to get you inspired or in your feels, connected to your feels. Emotional maturity is something that's standing out here, and creativity. And then grounding that to create in the physical in this world. Water signs and even air signs can often be a little ungrounded in their heads or too much in their feels, and learning how to ground that helps us to manifest in an aligned way with love and unity consciousness and nature and the world. And it doesn't have to be such a cognitive exercise where you think really hard about it, because it's not purely from the mind, it's all aspects of our being. That is the reading. I'm not gonna go into any more because we receive what we need to receive or what we choose to receive from anything. I really hope this was helpful. If you're still here, please like, share, comment, let me know what stood out for you, how you resonate with this. Subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can know when I upload again. I do a lot of different readings on here, and I've had quite a number of readings that I've been guided and inspired to do, but time is not so linear, and I feel like you get guided to do certain things at a certain time for a certain reason. So tune into my other videos, check them out. If you are called to, check the links for my books in the description box below, and I hope that you will join me again in another video.